Hello, good to see you all. I don't know what happened to the last video, is somehow missing, so I am filming again. Alrighty, so this is called The End of the Race, Chapter 7. When the Lady Wilma entered the blue bay of Callao, Jack counted 31 sailing ships at anchor. He was disappointed that nowhere to be seen was the high-riding Sea Raven. "She's loaded up with coal and fresh water," snapped Captain Swain. "Loaded up and skedaddled." Nevertheless, smiles were the order of the day. After months at sea, the gold seekers looked upon the sunny little town as if it were Paris or London. They couldn't wait to get ashore. Hardly had the mooring lines been thrown out like bullwhips when men began to leap to the wharf. "Master Jack, shall we go ashore?" said Praiseworthy. "I'd like that fine," smiled Jack. Jack posted another letter home to Boston. The streets thronged with sailors and gold seekers, and in the distance the great Andes rose like painted scenery. The towns weren't a great deal larger than the ship had been, but it had dry land. Jack had almost forgotten the smell of dust in his nostrils. He breathed it in like perfume. The butler and the boy rode about on mules, and the day had all the excitement of a picnic. Late in the afternoon, Mr. Azariah Jones hailed them into the sunny plaza. "Look here," he beamed. "I bought the last pick and shovel left in town. Since the California fever started, the shelves are bare, I can tell you, and a washpan thrown in for good measure. They're yours." "Voila!" said Monsieur Gaunt, appearing out of the crowd and dropping a pick and shovel at their feet. "I have got my hands on the last ones in town, and a washpan too, my friends." Then he stopped to glare at the Yankee trader, who was already glaring at him. "Gentlemen," smiled Praiseworthy, "I think we can safely say that you have found the last 2 picks and shovels. They're bound to bring us luck. Master Jack and I—" His words of gratitude were interrupted by the clanging of the Lady Wilma's bell, calling the gold seekers back to their ship. "Hurry, boys!" shouted Mountain Jim. "The Wild Bull of the Seas will be mighty glad to leave without us." There was a wild rush for the wharf, but when Jack turned, Praiseworthy was no longer standing beside him. Jack's hair was very nearly standing on end. The butler was gone. Praiseworthy? The ship's bell rang through the air, but Jack didn't know which way to run. He couldn't leave Praiseworthy behind. Praiseworthy? Jack was unable to move, as if anchored to the spot by the pick and shovel. The Lady Wilma would leave without them. And then from the doorway of a nearby shop, the butler appeared, tall and elegant in his bowler hat and white gloves. He carried the new pick and shovel over one shoulder, the washpan under his arm, and a strange package wrapped in newspaper hanging from his arm. Jack had never been so happy to see anyone in his life. "Hurry!" he cried desperately. "We'll get left behind." "Not likely," said Praiseworthy. "I had to stop off and make a small purchase for our good captain himself. Come along, Master Jack." Jack tried not to let Praiseworthy see that he had been close to tears. He threw the pick and shovel across his shoulder, gathered up the washpan, and together the boy and the butler hurried toward the wharf. One by one, alley cats picked up their trail. By the time they reached the ship, it looked as if every stray cat in Callao was after them. Before the gangway could be raised, at least a dozen assorted cats followed Praiseworthy aboard. In their stocking caps, the crew was too busy throwing off hawsers and preparing for sea to bother with the invasion of Peruvian cats. Jack dropped the heavy pick and shovel with a clang to the deck and looked at Praiseworthy's package. "A dead rat?" "Hardly," replied the butler. "Cheese?" "Not likely." "Fresh kidney?" "Exactly," said Praiseworthy, raising the package out of reach of the cats. "Captain Swain is extraordinarily fond of kidney pie. I promised to teach the cook an old recipe of my great-great-grandfather. But at that moment, Captain Swain was in no temper for kidney pie. The ship had taken on fresh water, but not an ounce of coal. "Blast that sea raven," he was bellowing. "She's filled her bunkers and piled her decks with coal. Hills of it, mountains of it. Taken every lump to be had. She's made sure there wasn't a cinder left for us." Until next time.